The first thing to know about diamond testing machines is that there are many different types, and whether you've seen them on social media or in a jewelry store environment, there are certainly some misconceptions when it comes to which gems can test positive or negative. One of the more popular diamond testing methods uses thermal conductivity to simply separate diamonds from diamond imitations, such as cubic zirconia, glass, or crystals. These units are generally wireless and they're quite inexpensive. You can buy them online for even a couple $100s or less, and you can even find them on Amazon. They generally look like a big marker or pen, and it's important to keep in mind that these types of units have nothing to do with separating diamonds from lab diamonds. The second commonly seen diamond testing machine also has kind of a pen-like instrument or pointer probe, but it's attached to a much more larger unit. And these units are definitely much more sophisticated, and they can be a lot more expensive, anywhere between the $500 to $5,000 price range. As mentioned, these units are using a much more sophisticated technology, usually electric conductivity and/or shortwave and long-wave fluorescence, and these machines are more helpful in separating diamonds from lab-made diamonds. But it's important that you only use them once you've established that the gem is actually a diamond and not a synthetic or imitation. To understand how these diamond testers work, it's important to know that almost 98% of natural diamonds fall into the type 1A category, and this is classified by how much trace amounts of nitrogen they contain. Most lab diamonds being made currently with the CVD method, which stands for chemical vapor deposition, are actually falling within the type 2A method, which for natural diamonds is very rare. Only about 1 to 2% of natural diamonds are type 2A. And this is because lab diamonds contain little to no nitrogen. These factors are what these more sophisticated diamond testing machines are testing for. So they can tell you whether the diamond is a type 1A and therefore very likely to be natural, or a type 2A, which means it could be a lab diamond or it could be a very rare natural diamond, which just happens to fall into the type 2A category. So if a diamond gets tested for not being natural by a professional in a jewelry store or a gemologist, they have the option to send that diamond into a lab and have it tested to know for sure whether it is a lab diamond or a very rare natural type 2A diamond. When it comes to moissanites, there have been a lot of questions about how they test, and this is because they do have at times a very high thermal conductivity, very similar to diamond. And therefore, if you're using one of the cheaper, more simple diamond testing pens, as mentioned before, which really only tell the difference between diamond and imitation, such as glass or cubic zirconia, there is a chance that moissanite can possibly test as diamond. However, when it comes to these gems, it's important to remember that moissanites are also lab-made gems, and one of the biggest differences between them and natural or lab-made diamonds is that they're doubly refractive, whereas diamonds are one of the only singly refractive gems. This means that when light passes through a moissanite, it gets split into two, which means that the way that it reflects light off its facets, and when you look at a moissanite, even very simply with a loupe or even, yes, with a microscope, it's actually very easy to see because the facets and all of the other lines and shapes and reflections when you see the moissanite are actually doubled and you see them twice. So in fact, it's actually very easy for a jeweler, gemologist, or other professional to tell the difference between a moissanite and a diamond because of this double refraction.